Today might be a good day for you to just have a cup of coffee, momagumbezi, with a good book. I think. Oh no, you have to go to work, don't you? Oops. For those who don't have to, though, we can sit and talk about books because it is Tuesday for the Bookworm, and we are talking I Am Authentic, authored by Consolata Kapuya this morning with our resident bookworm, Audrey Chirenje. Good morning, Audrey.
Morning, Candice. How are you? Great.
Yeah, you were wintering here.
Yes, I think when you're describing that would be my perfect life in bed with a book.
Right, and a cup of coffee. Don't forget the cup of coffee. Well, for me, the cup of coffee is important. Okay, am I not authentic?
You are, but then, with this world, society tells you who to be. From a young age, you know how some kids, they'll be like, akangwarisa, akaganira. But what if that child is going to have a career in the arts? So we are all born authentic, but along the way, we lose ourselves.
Right. Now, before we get into the actual book itself, tell me a little bit about Consolata.
So Consolata is a pastor. She also has an ICT degree. She's a coach and she's an author. This is her second book.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Now, why such a title? I mean, because like I said, my first question was, am I not being authentic? And it did make me think about a lot of things. And as you've rightfully said, society does tend to change us. Why I Am Authentic?
I think she's trying to solidify this thing that everywhere you are, you should be conscious of who you are. So if you do things differently, it doesn't mean that you're weird. It just means you're different. And you should embrace your authenticity and actually celebrate it.
What are we talking about in here? Okay, what are some of the themes that she covers?
Okay, so to start off with, the chapter 1, I found that very funny. She talks about how she's got a nose ring. And like I say, she's a pastor. And she also has blonde short hair. So she wrote this in her first chapter saying that people used to judge her. People never used to understand her. But she said, according to her, that's what she wanted. And she prayed about it and she was comfortable with it. So she maintained her look. So now in the book, we talk about, I'll just go through the themes. We've got, you have to be authentic in your purpose. That's your calling in what you do, in your ministry, in your business, in your friendships, in your romantic relationships, also in your social media. What you post should be authentic to you, in your dressing and in your worship.
Right. So I want to eventually come back to social media because that's another ball game in itself. And one of the running jokes with the introduction of Threads a few days ago was, so I'm here trying to figure out which personality to be. But when we look at things such as your worship, your dressing, your relationships, is the feeling that we tend to try and give an impression of who we think everybody else in those scenarios needs us to be? Like, what was the thinking around that?
I think she was just trying to say that we are all different and we should actually relish in the fact that we're different. So, for example, in business, in leadership, someone might be a servant leader, someone might be a dictator. It's still okay and it still has its advantages and disadvantages, but just be who you are. Because the minute you try to be someone else, it's just like you. If you try to be Marisa, that ain't never gonna work. Marisa has her own calling, she has her own talents and gifts.
Her own afro.
Yes. So she functions well in that. And then you are you, Candace, trailblazer, always happy, different, but good.
Not always happy, but okay. Not in this weather. Now, I'll take us back to the aspect of social media. Now, social media does tend to have a lot of impact on ultimately, and people won't openly admit this, but it does tend to have a lot of impact on our self-esteem. And sometimes you feel that, look, maybe I am not recognized enough in the circles that I'm in. I must go and be a loudmouth on social media. Or you meet somebody who is a loudmouth on social media, and in reality, they're actually quite quiet. And then we are readjusting who we think will trend on social media. How has that made it, I mean, extremely difficult for such lessons, for such books, especially on our teen demographics?
Okay, so she actually wrote about this social media in depth because she's got her own podcast called My Princess Daddy Diaries. And then she follows people like, you know, T.D. Jake's daughter, Pastor Sarah. So she talked about how we must always be authentic. Sometimes the traffic, what you see on social media, sometimes we're actually jealous and we envy. So it's not like we're always goody good and happy about what we see. But she's basically saying that social media is not what it always seems. Someone could be posting those outfits, but she's been lent those outfits by someone else. Some people post about their food. Yeah, that's them. So if you don't like posting about your food, you want to post about, hey, just do you. So I found that very refreshing to actually say that it's not always the posts that make all of us happy and giddy and all that. Some of which you actually like what you're saying, to say, oh, wow. And then you find that we've got a lot of depression and even suicide emanating from social media, which is sad. Because some people will look at what other people are posting and think that their life is not enough. Yeah.
Audrey, who is reading this book?
This book is for everyone. I encourage the teens, men, women, because she talks to all of us in there. So everyone must get a copy of this book.
Absolutely. Now, of course, the title of the book is I Am Authentic. That in itself should tell you exactly what you can expect from this. And just another reason for you to kind of try and figure out, you know, sometimes you also need to reflect on where we stand. You tend to get lost in day-to-day life and doing this, doing that, taking care of this, taking care of that. You almost get lost in life. So I think it would also be a great point for you if you need to take some time to reflect on who you are and kind of get back to the basics. So the book is I Am Authentic by Consolata Kapuya.